It may seem like a bit of a cliche, but I think an important question to ask ourselves in a world like this: are we a part of the solution, or are we a part of the problem? Or another way to say that might be, are we contributing to the solution, or are we contributing to the problem? So we're talking about miracles here, a miraculous state of mind, which is actually very practical. And what we have discovered, at least what I've discovered about miracles, is that it really boils down to a shift in perception. It's a mental shift in the mind. And it has absolutely nothing to do with external circumstances. It has absolutely nothing to do with the past. It has absolutely nothing to do with any of the mistakes that we may have made. It has absolutely nothing to do with even our behavior or our emotions. Because in this world, emotions are ruled by the ego. Ego is a term for a state of mind that is not of God. In other words, a state of mind that is not based on the principles of love. And on planet Earth, we all have to deal with that. We all have to deal with this consistent, overbearing, egoic state of mind that seems to have such a grip on us, doesn't it? So when we ask a question to ourselves or to others, are we contributing to the solution, or are we contributing to the problem? And to me, it boils down to thinking about what the problem is and what the solution is. And A Course in Miracles goes into depth about this, but it actually makes it very simple and teaches us that the problem of the human condition is a belief in separation from God. It's a belief that we have the power to separate our minds from God and go off and make this other reality on our own. And it reflects out in chaos, violence, death, disease, destruction, competition, anger, jealousy, fighting, on and on and on, war. But in actuality, these conditions are not who we really are. Our true nature is that of peaceful, loving extensions of God. We're the same as God spiritually. God made us spiritually just like Him. So the solution, according to A Course in Miracles, is to accept who we really are. However, that takes a lot of work, and the egoic mind that seems to dominate this world, puts up a holy hell of a fight, particularly when you start on an individual level, start realizing that there's something more, inside of you. And you can perhaps hear God talking to you, God calling to you. So when we think about this question, am I part of the solution or am I part of the problem? The problem is that of the belief in the ego mind, the belief that we are separate from our Creator, and therefore having to deal with what seems like the hellish effects on planet Earth. The solution, though, is to realize that God has made a way for us through an extension of His mind to get through to us. God's saying, hey, it's not true. None of this is true. You're really my child. You're innocent. You come from love. And I want to help you remember that. Now, in no way does God negate the experiences that we've had on planet Earth. Many of us have had just unbelievably hellish experiences. Isn't that true? But when we realize that we have a choice, that we can either be part of the solution that God is giving us or part of the problem, what does that mean? As I said earlier, it has nothing to do with external circumstances, your age, your background, the situation in your life, your family, your friends, your coworkers, the way you look, your social status, your past, the mistakes you've made. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It doesn't even have to do with your behavior or your emotions. It has to do with your thoughts. What are you thinking? What direction are you willing to put your mind? And even if you're going through something in the moment, you're upset, you're angry, whatever it is, underneath that, there's a knowing. There's a deep knowing that there's a purpose to whatever it is you're going through. There's a purpose to the emotions you might be feeling. There's a purpose to everything that has seemed to happen and is happening in your life. And the purpose of that is to remember who you really are. Now, it may not seem that way, right? It doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem that way, particularly when we seem to be going through painful things or going through conflict or going through anything that is not happy or joyful or peaceful. But if we're willing to make that little bit of a mind shift to, wait a minute, maybe there's another purpose for this. And maybe I can be part of the solution by thinking that way, by trusting that way, by trusting that there is a purpose underneath everything that I've ever gone through. There's a purpose. I mentioned in a previous video that Einstein said that either everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. And I go into more detail in that video. In fact, I'll link it in the description section about how we can look, how we can trust miracles in a dark world. But when we want to be part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem, that means we are making a choice to choose with God. And we're going to do whatever it takes to feel, to trust, to believe, to know. Whatever kind of spiritual practice, whatever kind of prayer or meditation, emotional work, dark shadow work, in your darkness, whatever it is, I know that I have to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. That even if I fall off, even if it seems like I've lost my way in a moment, in a particular moment, or I get frustrated or angry, I know that it's okay. I'm not going to stay there. And that is showing me the way back to truth, because whenever emotions and experiences that come up that aren't happy, joyful, and peaceful, that's an opportunity for healing. It's calling us to go deeper, to find out what it is that's triggering us in the first place. That takes work. We don't get the spiritual goodies without doing the work. But that is where the miracle is, a willingness to see things the way God does. And if we put in the work, if we lend our minds to God, we are then part of the solution rather than part of the problem. What's being part of the problem? To me, it means complaining, focusing on the worst things that you could possibly focus on, not taking a deeper look at ourselves, projecting everything outward all the time, and not willing to do the work, staying stuck in old patterns in the past, not progressing on our spiritual journey, our healing journey. That is blaming others for everything. That's being part of the problem. Instead, we can face these things. It doesn't mean we overlook anything. It doesn't mean that we ignore things. It just means that we're willing to take another step and and ask ourselves, where am I directing my mind? Where, let me say that again. Which way is my mind going? Is it going in a loving direction or an unloving direction? Is it going in a peaceful direction or a fearful direction? And if it's going in a fearful direction, we can stop it. We need help though. We have to ask for help. We have to ask for guidance through prayer, through meditation. And it's all the time. I have to do this all the time. And so I encourage you all, anyone listening to this, that you can decide if you want to be part of the solution or part of the problem. And it has to do with your mind. What is going on in your mind? What are you thinking? What are you believing? Don't let the ego trick you into thinking that it's other people, it's out there. That's not true. So let's take that step. First of all, decide, do we want to be part of the solution or part of the problem? And it's through a spiritual pathway of healing that we can find that answer. And we'll know the right answer is within our hearts.